You are listening to WCAT Radio, your station for quality Catholic programming. Your selected program will begin right after a word from our sponsor, GroupM7.com, a web design and hosting company. Log on to GroupM7.com today and let them know that WCAT Radio sent you.
You know, my finest childhood memories was the Saturday morning movies for about 4 bits each. My brother and I could split a Coke and a big box of popcorn and watch movies about Tarzan, Jane, and their Amazon River adventures. Well, maybe that's where Jeff Bezos took his name. His Amazon.com is now the largest online retailer in the world. I'm Michael Mahfood with Group M7, the oldest and largest website design firm in East Texas. And here's my point, and as usual, it's a good one. If your website is modern and up-to-date, mobile and search engine friendly, it matters not whether you sell a product or provide information about your goods and services, your sales justifiably will increase just like theirs. The world uses the internet. We can improve your website and your email. Look at our giant portfolio at GroupM7.com. Since 1995, there's only one web and there's only one group, and it's us. It's Group M7.
You're listening to WCAT Radio, your home for authentic Catholic programming.
Essays in the Deep, Faith and Reason, Meaning and Morality, Protestantism and Catholic Thought. Welcome everyone to Polycarp's Paradigm. That title that I gave you at the very beginning is a new book title for a new book of mine that just came out on Amazon. So please, take some time, go on Amazon, and get you a copy of that book. It'd be great. So the book is called, once again, Essays in the Deep, Faith and Reason, Meaning and Morality, Protestantism and Catholic Thought. In this episode, I just wanted to go over an overview of the book, and then I'm going to do a series here about the book. And so basically what it is it's a collection of essays I wrote during my graduate school program at Holy Apostles College and Seminary while getting my Master of Arts in Theology. And, you know, you work so hard on these essays, why let the work go to waste? That's what I figured. And so the topics that I covered in a lot of those essays were just so interesting and so relevant to our times that I thought, you know, I'm just going to compile them into a book and release it. And you know, I don't know who's going to buy it and who's going to enjoy these essays, but it'll all be in one place, and it'll be, I think, a resource for some people at least to really tap into some of these relevant issues and see what the church teaches about them. And, you know, there's different topics that are really kind of themes woven in. I actually ended up grouping the essays into 3 different categories, not in the table of contents or anything, but just in the way I think about this book. The first category is really about science. It's about faith and philosophy and natural science and how those all interplay. And that's essays 1 through 6, I believe. Essays 7 through 12 is more so morality, questions about morality. In fact, I have 3 essays that, well, at least 2 essays that really explicitly talk about contraception and the Catholic view of contraception. I also talk about abortion and transgenderism, which is a huge thing right now. And so these are highly relevant issues that are talked about in these essays. And then the last section is essays 13 through 16, and that's really about Jesus and proof for his resurrection, his divinity, and then also about the church, the Catholic Church in relation to Protestantism and really what happened with this advent of Christian relativism. And so the back of my book says this: we live in a society full of confusion, a confusion forged in relativism, immorality, and a repulsion toward religion. The antidote is truth, a truth forged in objectivity, morality, and a gravitation toward God. This collection of essays confronts the confusion of our society with the truth of faith and reason, and focuses on these fundamental questions. What is the relationship between natural science, philosophy, and faith? How do we determine what is right and wrong? What is true freedom? What is man's ultimate end? What is the truth about contraception, abortion, and transgenderism? Who is Jesus, and what is the proof for his resurrection? Was there a Protestant Reformation, or was it a revolt? Is there a call for all people to come into the Catholic Church? These are deep questions that require deep answers. Are you ready to dive into the deep? And that's why the title's called Essays in the Deep. And real quick, I just want to go over these essay titles. Once again, these are academic essays, but I do think that they are fairly readable and that you'll get a lot out of them. And you don't have to read all of them when you get the book. You can just select the essays that really tickle your fancy, so to speak. So I'm just going to go over the titles here. Essay 1 is On the Nature and Relationship of Theology, Philosophy, and Science. Essay number 2, On the Importance of Real Objective Metaphysical Ideas for Understanding the Theology of the Catholic Church, a summary of Lesson 8 Notes on Epistemology. Pretty long title there. Oh, don't worry, there's one that's longer. Essay 3, A Reflection on the Encyclical Letter of Pope John Paul II, Fides et Ratio. Essay 4, now here's the longest title. On the Solution of St. Thomas Aquinas regarding the problem of the natural desire to see God in relation to modern European philosophers and Catholic theologians. Okay, I probably haven't whet your appetite yet on reading this book, but just stick with me here. Essay 5, On the Formal and Material Object of Theology in relation to the methodology of this science. Essay 6, On the Nature of Faith. Essay 7, On the Ultimate End of Man with regard to the nature of man's soul. Essay 8, On the Nature of the Voluntary. So that's talking about like how we make decisions, the will, free will. Essay 9, The Three Moral Determinants in Relation to Conscience and Law. Essay 10, Contraception, an analysis of church teaching on the regulation of birth. Essay 11, Catholic anthropology in relation to marriage, contraception, and abortion. Essay 12, Gender ideology and the Catholic response. Essay 13, A divine walk, exegetical analysis of Jesus walking on water. Essay 14, Resurrection interpreted, hermeneutic of skepticism or faith. Essay 15, Protestant revolt and Catholic reform, which I think that's probably the most interesting of the essays. Essay 16, On the Necessity of Visible Unity Throughout the Church. And that last essay, Essay 16, actually was a preliminary essay I wrote as a warm-up to my thesis that I released last year, as you guys know, as a book called Visible Unity, A Calling of Christ for the Church. And so that is the expanded form of this essay, Essay 16. So you might find it pretty interesting, just the shortened version here in this book. And so that's really the introduction to this book, Essays in the Deep. Some of it may interest you. Like, I know some people will be very interested in talking about, the relation of faith and philosophy and natural science. Others may be way more interested in the contemporary moral issues that surround us, that are very confusing in our modern times, that people are confused about a lot of these moral issues, and how can we even say what's right and wrong, and confronting this relativism. Others of you might really enjoy the two essays really about Jesus. The walking on water one is pretty fascinating, and how we have proof for Christ's resurrection and what that's all about in Essay 14. And others of you might be really interested in Essays 15 and 16 that deal with the Protestant Reformation and like the nature of the church and what really is the church and all of that. So that's why I'm releasing it. It's, all that hard work of putting these essays together, might as well release it into the wild, give you guys a taste of grad school for you, and maybe you'll get something out of it. I really think you will. A lot of the essays are short, like the first 9 essays are all 3 pages each. So very, very short essays. And the other ones are a little bit longer, but definitely worth the read in my opinion. And so check it out, Essays in the Deep, Faith and Reason, Meaning and Morality, Protestantism and Catholic Thought. Once again, I'm going to be diving into a series here, and we'll start next week with talking about faith and reason and natural science and how they all kind of jive together. And so my hope is that these can be just shorter episodes that kind of summarize a little bit of the book. And if you get the book, it'll be easy for you to follow along and all of that. And hopefully this will just at least whet your appetite to dive into the book and see for yourself what it's all about. So once again, go on Amazon, check out Essays in the Deep, Faith and Reason, Meaning and Morality, Protestantism and Catholic Thought by Eric Robinson. God bless.
Hello, God's beloved. I'm Annabelle Mosley, author, professor of theology, and host of Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. I invite you to listen in and find inspiration along this sacred journey we're traveling together to make our lives a masterpiece and, with God's grace, become saints. Join me, Annabelle Mosley, for Then Sings My Soul and Destination Sainthood on WCAT Radio. God bless you. Remember, you're never alone. God is always with you.
Thank you for listening to a production of WCAT Radio. Please join us in our mission of evangelization. And don't forget, love lifts up when knowledge takes flight.